Welcome to Get Connected AR, and I'm glad that you're here. It's the podcast that we created really to connect you to the different resources, different things kind of going on in our community, ministries, organizations, and all the sorts. Again, we're thankful for Brandon House, BH Productions, and Arts Absolutely, really for hosting us and being able to use this space. And so I'm thankful to have my friend Donna Ezell with Carrying Hearts Pregnancy Center with us today. Hey, Donna.
Hi, Anthony. It's good to be here.
Well, glad that you're here. Let's talk about Carrying Hearts Pregnancy Center, all that's kind of going on there, and really the history of the organization, how it got started, and kind of where it is currently.
So this year we are having our 40th celebration,
Wow.
40th year of being in service to Central Arkansas. So we're a pro-life nonprofit ministry. So we have been around, like I said, for 40 years, serving women and men that are facing mainly unplanned pregnancy and helping them through that unexpected time of their life to choose life.
So 40 years ago when this started, kind of what was the focal point behind it all, or that initial start for why Carrying Hearts?
Sure. So that was back in the early 80s. 85 is when we became incorporated, but the work started a few years before that.
Okay.
And so abortion was, happening in Arkansas. Everybody knows about Roe. That
Roe v.
happened
Wade,
it happened in the 70s. So that they're a good 10 years in. Abortions are happening in Arkansas, and there was a local church in Little Rock that really was becoming passionate about helping women choose life. And a lady stood up in that church and was like, "I need people to partner with me, and let's go make a difference. Let's put not just talk about being pro-life, but let's put our words into action." So that's when they can. And actually it started as in Little Rock, where the surgical abortion clinic was at that time off of Asher.
Okay.
They actually were on the sidewalks, as we know happens now,
Right.
like prayer warriors, but actually doing some sidewalk counseling and
I'm assuming right outside of that clinic.
Right outside of that clinic. And actually it was a business owner within that it was a shopping mall. And one of the business owners came to them and they were like, "What do I have to do to get you off the sidewalk?" Basically. He's like, "I don't think it's good for my business."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, we need a storefront. We need an actual place to see clients." And he gave them a space.
Wow.
Next to the abortion clinic.
So to get them off the parking lot or get them out of the hair of that, to give them something different.
So then they actually had a place to meet, and the way I recently got to hear that we told this story at our annual banquet this year, so it's fresh on my mind. But as the women would go to the abortion clinic, they had to pass Carrying Hearts, and we weren't called Carrying Hearts back then, or Crisis Pregnancy Center. Well, actually, it was New Life, which soon became Crisis Pregnancy Center of Central Arkansas. But the women would have to pass by their door to get to the abortion clinic, and so they would get a chance to talk to women and let them know that there are other alternatives. There are other choices. Once you come in, and let's talk about it. If you need a pregnancy test, we can do that. So it started very basic, but just meeting women where they were and finding out why they were considering abortion, and let's see if we can find you some other ways, to meet the needs that you have.
Yeah. So they have to bypass what's now known as Carrying Hearts Pregnancy Center to get to the abortion clinic, and so really I'm assuming that's as a deterrent for you even going over here.
Yes.
For you to hopefully get in here first.
Right. For women, because a lot of time women make the choice of abortion thinking it's their only option.
Yeah.
So just providing other options for them. A lot of women are, relieved that, okay, I don't have to do this. I really don't want to choose abortion. And so having other options is very important.
Wow. And so those transitions have happened. You started in Little Rock. I know that you have a location in North Little Rock and some others. Kind of what's going on between the what's currently in North Little Rock as well as the newer location, shall I say?
Yeah, so Caring Hearts moved to North Little Rock in the, I want to say, so that we've been there over 20 years now.
Yeah.
So they started at Main Street across from the high school, and now we've been on Finley Drive for more than 20 years, right about 20 years. We now have a location, as you were mentioning, in Little Rock, and we are off Aldersgate Road. We are right next door to Planned Parenthood.
Okay.
So we moved in there 2022.
Okay. And so what type of services are you all offering? Because I'm pretty sure those have changed over the last 40 years from where you started to where you are currently.
Yes, it started out very basic, and we've grown through the years. We provide limited medical services. So we provide pregnancy testing, STI, which stands for sexually transmitted infection. We do that testing limited, and treatment of those. We do ultrasound. So when a woman comes in, she's positive pregnancy test, we offer ultrasound.
Okay.
And so we do that for finding, so it's what's called a limited ultrasound, meaning we're looking for the location of the pregnancy, how far along is she in the pregnancy, and is that pregnancy viable, meaning is there a heartbeat?
Yeah.
So those are the key things that we're looking for. We also, so those are the medical things. We also do screenings like blood pressure screening, talk through their history of high risk, maybe pregnancies in the past, make referrals for them to start early prenatal care, because that is so important once they choose life. But also once they choose life, we are plugging them into parenting classes.
Okay.
So not only do we want them to choose life, but then we want to equip them to be the best parent that they can be.
Because I can imagine there's some, this is the first time.
Oh, yeah.
It's a scary journey for them, and they're just trying to learn how to best figure this out.
Exactly. Fear has a lot to do with the choices that they're making. And yes, some women either thought they would never be a parent for whatever reason, or they came from a background of they didn't have a good upbringing.
Right.
They don't have that solid foundation to build off of. So, letting them know that we don't say goodbye once they choose life. We want to walk alongside them. So as much as they will allow us to walk alongside them, we will. So doing those parenting classes, educating them there, and then we have a program called Hugs, Helping You Grow Strong.
Okay.
And that's a Bible study.
Okay.
It's an 8-week Bible study. So if they sign on for that, they get a mentor that meets with them every week for this Bible study. And with both of those programs, it's an Earn While You Learn program. So they're, as they come and do the lessons, they're earning points or mommy bucks that they get to redeem in our parenting store.
Wow.
Yeah, so we want to incentivize them, give so until they really have a strong desire to just want to learn, we incentivize them to, these are the things that you can get ready for baby with, and there's items for mom too, not just baby, but helping them, they can really, we have a lot of courses to take. So, if they're really into it, they can be busy their whole pregnancy taking parenting classes, and they can get almost everything that they need for baby by the time baby comes.
They finish whatever those courses and things are. And so you talked about some clinical services. I can imagine those are kind of limited depending upon staff and what's kind of there. And so are they just kind of coming in for some initial tests and checks every so often? And
that's a great question.
What does that kind of look like going forward if not?
Yeah, so the medical part is really to establish the pregnancy. So it's to confirm the pregnancy for them. We don't do prenatal care.
Okay.
But we are following them until they make a decision.
Gotcha.
So if they're undecided about the pregnancy, not sure if they're going to, have an abortion yet, we'll see them every week. And we'll do an ultrasound every week. So that baby grows so fast in the first trimester especially. so that she can see that life growing within her and see that it is not just a clump of cells, that it is actually a baby. Because we can see that heartbeat as early as before the 6th week of pregnancy. So the heart starts beating 5 weeks in one day. And we usually can see that around 5 weeks and 5 days or 6. So just seeing that heartbeat initially, and then watching that baby grow every week, that is really helping. And as she is doing that and bonding with that baby, we're still talking to her about her unmet needs and the issues in her life and helping her make a plan for those things. And when she first, and I'll finish answer that question in a minute, I realize I'm kind of diverting off, but when she first comes in, she's really, it's like her mind's in a tornado spin. She can't critically think at that time because she's in a crisis. We used to be called Crisis Pregnancy Center. We don't have that name anymore, but it is a type of a crisis, or depending on the circumstance, maybe a trauma situation.
They're in that moment,
Yeah, and they're not thinking with that critical side of their brain yet. So we're hoping to basically buy enough time that everything starts to settle. The crisis starts to settle because we're meeting those needs, and sometimes those needs are basic human needs, like I don't have a place to live. I don't have enough food to eat. We have to meet those basic needs before she can start thinking that, okay, maybe I can do this. And doing this can mean continue the pregnancy. Maybe she can't parent. Maybe she's not in that situation, but we can help her connect her with adoption agencies to place for adoption. So it's just getting her in that place where, first of all, okay, I can just, let's one day after another, let's just continue on while we're meeting these needs and showing you that, yes, you can do it. We'll walk alongside you. So as far as medical things, so we're doing those things the first few weeks. So that can look different for each client. It might be a month that we're working with her until she chooses life. And then we're like, okay, now you're ready for prenatal care. You've chosen life. Let's get you connected for best care. So while she's making that decision, if she's willing to start like applying for Medicaid, doing all the pre-work that she's going to need, we're encouraging all those things. First appointment, we're giving her prenatal vitamins to start taking, even if she's undecided. Hey, so prenatal vitamins are good for everybody.
Those are things that you all have access to already?
Yes.
Okay.
So all that pre-work, early pregnancy work, to make for the healthiest possible pregnancy. We're doing all those encouraging things, healthy pregnancy things, teaching her those things, even though she's undecided. It's good for everybody to know those things. So, so when she does make the decision for life, prayerfully makes that decision, we're connecting her, getting her plugged into prenatal care so she can start that. And thankfully we have different avenues to connect her with. There's places we can say if she has no insurance yet. Thankfully, this is kind of new over the last year and a half, and I know you're aware of this, but there's Baptist has opened a pregnancy wellness center for women that have no insurance. And that was a godsend for us because, having that awkward space of not having insurance yet, some doctors don't want to, most doctors won't take them unless they have their insurance. And some OB doctors don't take Medicaid even. So having more resources to connect her with, because like I said, we don't do the prenatal care part. But even once, so we refer medically at that point. So we don't see her any longer for ultrasounds at that point because we've handed her off to her doctor. We're not doing that medical intervention, but we're doing just all the let's prepare you for pregnancy. So we're doing all the parenting classes. We're doing all those things. One thing I've not mentioned is the dads in this scenario.
I was going to ask you about that.
So, not all the time, but often they're bringing the father of the baby with them. Most of the time they're not married, but sometimes we do get married couples. And we always, until we learn the situation that the woman's in, we separate them. We bring the woman back and it's like, tell me what's going on. Because every once in a while we have a man that's pressuring for abortion or just a situation that's not safe. So we always need to learn those situations. Well, especially when there's undecided or abortion-minded person, we need to talk to that man about it too. He has the most influence over that situation, more than what we have, more than what any other outside influence. The father of the baby, just statistics show he has the most influence.
Right.
And he has needs as well, and he has a voice. You know, men often think when it comes to abortion, they have no voice,
Right.
that our culture and society has taught them that to be supportive, you say, whatever you want to do, I'll support you. That is like the go, and that is not what a woman needs to hear. A woman needs to hear, I've got you. You know, I've got
That
this
support
baby.
is what you're looking
Yes, we will make this work. I don't know what that looks like,
Yeah.
but let's get the help we need. Let's get the resources we need, and we can do this. So she needs that confidence. Well, sometimes he's just as scared as she
Yeah.
is. Or, you know, all the scenarios of maybe he didn't come from a strong family, or, you know, all the outside noise
Yep.
of people telling you what to do.
Yeah.
Oftentimes culture's saying abortion is the easiest way. So now we have a fatherhood director, so full-time staff member, and he has volunteers.
Wow.
So we don't have enough male volunteers to cover every day at both locations. We're working on that and can use more. But we have several days that are covered. And so what that looks like is when the father of the baby comes with her and he's sitting in the waiting room, our fatherhood director or volunteer goes out and introduces herself, offers some coffee to them, just sits and talks and invites.
Find a way to engage and invite.
Yes, yeah, just like, hey, how are you doing? What's the situation? Would you like to come back and talk more? Maybe sometimes the conversation just happens in the lobby, but if they're willing to engage and like, yeah, come back, let's have a private conversation, and they can start talking through all those things, so that all the work we're doing with her is not undone when they leave. Because if no work's been done with him, it doesn't matter what we've been able to achieve with her.
Right.
It may all get undone, you know, if he doesn't have his needs met as well.
So that seems like an intentional focus for you all. And so how
Yes.
did you all arise or get to that point in place to say, well, the fatherhood piece is very key for us, even though you're probably seeing predominantly the female?
Yeah, so I think just in our, you know, in the faith base, in our culture, in our networking, that really the conversation started years ago, you know, that really the need. And then just nationally, there's actually a fatherhood movement right now nationally that is not faith-based. You know, I wish I could tell you what, you know, I don't know what woke people up, but there is an awakening that people, thank the Lord, are giving men their value and their voice back, that, you know, dads are needed.
Yeah.
You know, culturally, we see what happened, you know, when men are no longer in the family. We see the breakdown in the family. Now, I'm not, you know, single moms are wonderful, and boy, they've carried such a load for so long and not taking anything away from them. But having a father in the family that is equipped, you know, we have to put not just, you know, but equipped. And another layer is, wow, if he comes to know the Lord, well, then everything changes. You know, then, you know, we know that he's leading that family. So that is, you know, another aim that we have, that is, you know, the Lord's really brought to us over the last 2 years, I would say, but especially a year and a half, that we've had our fatherhood director. He's actually pastorally trained, and that has helped us on so many levels to become more secure in sharing the gospel ourselves. And then watching just him and his volunteers, that he's training them up and sharing the gospel, you know, in a strong way. We're sharing the gospel more than ever. That's always been a goal with Caring Hearts from the beginning.
Just need the avenue to do it.
Yes, it is definitely a time, you know, where, you know, we see people hungry for the Lord. They know that they're in a situation where they could use some help. And sometimes that just really makes people vulnerable. They're willing to accept at maybe other times where they wouldn't be. And over the last 2 years, we've seen more people come to know the Lord than ever before. This year, I don't have the exact number, but we're just, I think, a little shy of 30 people that have come to know the Lord this year. A few years ago, I think we had 4.
Wow.
So, I mean, just to give you something to compare with, is that we've seen growth every year. And it's amazing, because we know that it changes things not just for now, but for eternity. And it's going to have that much stronger of a family for that child that is being brought into the family.
So you have the pre-work that you're doing with the mom, you have the parenting classes that's available for them, the Fatherhood Initiative, and then you talk about the store. What does that store kind of look like, and what's in there?
So, so our parenting store is located at North Little Rock. That's where we have space for it. It's just a large room that is packed with new and gently used baby items mainly. So lots of clothing. And then, of course, we have we have lots of diapers. we have a small warehouse that we keep store with diapers and wipes, those things that babies use lots of. And then, of course, the clothes. But then also I use grant funds to get car seats, pack and plays.
Wow.
We do get some strollers and those kind of bigger items. So that we have those ready to. So they can use Parenting Bucks for that, but we also use it like an end incentive for finishing a program. Not only are you coming to some of them, but if you finish this program, at the end you pick a car seat or a pack and play kind of thing. So the store they're donated items. So our supporters donate those items to us, and the gently used items we like for them to be clean first before they bring them to us. That helps us out, and then we have volunteers that stock our store and get it ready for people to come shop. So a lot of times we call them clients instead of patients, but our clients will shop after like a day they come in to do their Hugs Bible study. When they're done, they'll go shop them. But some just come make an appointment or drop by even because they're in need of diapers. Hey, I've got 10 Parenting Bucks to spend. Can I get some diapers today? So we have a lot of that kind of traffic in our North Little Rock store as well.
Awesome. So you talked about some of the various different opportunities that's available and where you need volunteers and things of that nature. Kind of expound on that some more.
Yeah. So I have staff at both locations, but so our staff we have our client services directors, and then we have our nursing directors, and under those are volunteers of each kind. So we have volunteers that meet with our clients, client advocates, and we fully train them, so they don't have to have any past training or a special degree or anything like that. We do background checks on everyone, but then we fully train them to do that service, and they meet one-on-one with our clients. But we have volunteers that do maybe they don't feel like they would want to meet directly with their clients. We have things that they can do. We can, work in our store, organize things in our store. We have administrative duties we can use help with. So just about any talent someone has, we have use for, because we have 2 buildings that we own, so the maintenance is all ours. So like owning 2 homes, so all those type of things we can use. That handyman, we can use that type of service. So just about anything you could think of that a house would need, we could use a volunteer for that service. So sometimes if someone just feels like they're being called to serve, we'll bring them in, meet with them, give them a volunteer packet, but I'll give them a tour, fully let them understand the mission. But then once their packet is filled out, come and shadow a day and just really get a full understanding. And I think that really helps them see where they would best serve, or where they really feel passionate about. And then we have nurses, so RNs.
So they're on staff.
Yes, that are on staff, and then we have volunteer nurses
Okay.
as well. So we do all the training there for ultrasound training. Yeah, we have programs that they can go through, and then provide ultrasound, which is it is a lot of fun. I'm a
Right.
nurse as well, and trained in ultrasound, and so it is quite the experience to get to show a woman her baby that's
Yeah.
growing inside of her for the very first time, and get to share fetal development and get to share all of that. It is very rewarding.
For them to get a chance to see that life coming to form that's
Yes.
inside of them.
Yes.
Many times I could imagine, okay, they've had the baby or have chosen to have the baby. Are there any initiatives, programs, or anything for after
Yeah.
that they've delivered?
So, yes, so a mom or dad can stay involved with us until their baby's 2.
Okay.
And so that gives them plenty of time to, in our parenting courses, there are some that are just like life skill based type of thing. So not all are directly parenting, but there's a section on like buying a house, budgeting, that kind of thing. So even if they complete all the parenting courses, there are other things
So
that
there's
can
other
help them.
courses that go beyond that. Wow.
Yes. And then we even have some, especially with our men, but that might be court ordered to take parenting classes.
Okay.
So we welcome that as well.
So that may be individuals I could assume that didn't initially come through you,
Correct.
but yet can come to you at that time for them.
Yeah, we'll take those referrals as well, because what an opportunity to speak life into
Right.
someone, not only as a parent, but to teach them all the things and
Yeah.
to share the gospel with them.
Any opportunity for mothers that may not have come initially, but yet come and they have a newborn or
Yes.
1-year-old or whatever that looks like?
Yeah, so we get those calls too. There's there's the time churches may call us. They have, someone's reached out to them like an unexpected baby. Sometimes they're unexpected that someone was not aware they're pregnant or were in denial for a while, and all of a sudden they need all the things.
Yeah.
Babies arrive, they have nothing. We get those calls sometime, and we generally, what our rule is that we register someone as our client first. We like to make that relationship with them, and then we provide for them. So that way we can, just have that relationship and help them with other needs along the line.
Awesome. So, you've talked about a number of ways that we can engage ourselves in all of what Caring Hearts is doing. Why should we engage ourselves? Why should this be a passion for any person, any entity of those sorts?
Sure. So when I think of Christ followers, and that, we know what the Bible says about life, and we know about what the Bible says about, the shedding of innocent blood, to let us know that abortion for the believer should not be a choice. But I want to interject, it's kind of along your answer, but that we do have people that do go ahead and choose abortion. So our clients sometimes go ahead and choose abortion. Sometimes our clients say they're believers and yet choose abortion. Then we have women that are just in the church that have abortion in their past, maybe from years ago. So our doors never close to those women. We have services also for them to heal from that abortion that they chose, or that was maybe they didn't want it even, but were pressured into it. So many different scenarios.
Right.
But healing from that abortion is so important. Much of our staff can relate to that. Myself, I'm post-abortive myself, and until you can fully receive God's forgiveness and forgive yourself and go through that healing, can't really minister to others in that situation. So we provide that for women that either want to volunteer, that we offer that those kind of courses first and walk them through that in a very private, confidential way. But two, why others would want to serve. So we find people are passionate when they've had some kind of encounter with abortion, whether it was a decision on theirs, a near miss, I would like to say, maybe a teenage pregnancy that they had, or it makes people more passionate when they've seen someone walk through those things. Or maybe they placed for adoption, or people that are on the receiving end of those precious babies. Those people tend to be our most passionate, and ones that we see that want to volunteer, but not always.
Right.
Sometimes, the Lord has called people to this ministry that don't have a direct relationship, but they just have a compassion and a love for women, and want to serve in this capacity. So really, it can be someone from just about any walk. So they do have to be aligned on the faith. Biblically, biblically faith-based statement of faith. We have that that we have to align there. But other than that, just about anybody can serve in one way or another.
I love how you talked about the fact that there's Christ at the center of all of this,
yes.
but at the end of it, it's loving the whole person.
Yes.
That either they're in the middle of trying to make this decision or not, or they made this decision and said, okay, I really want to heal from that place.
Yeah.
And so you kind of alluded to this, but why is this passionate for you?
Yeah. So I did allude to it. So I had an abortion in my past when I was 19. But it took me 20 years to seek healing from that. That was 20 years that although I was a believer when I made that decision, that was 20 years I was not following Christ, and I was not in the church, because, when we have, unrepented sin, it's very uncomfortable to be in church. So we're convicted by the Holy Spirit. I didn't like that conviction or feeling of conviction, so I ran from it for 20 years.
Yeah.
So not until I was a place that I was willing to deal with that, willing to come to terms with that and find that healing, was I ready to even fully come back to the Lord and start serving Him again, and just to be in church. So the healing from abortion is really brought me into the ministry. But then since then, being passionate to want women to be very well informed before they make a decision. It's very important to me that women not say, had I only known that, whatever that is, I would not have made this decision.
Right.
We try to fill in all those blanks before she makes that decision, so she is fully informed in that choice that she's making. But then, had it not been, I think, for the grace, so I actually had an encounter with Caring Hearts before I got my healing from my abortion. So I had returned, actually, I returned to church just shortly before that, probably for about a year, but still was doing that struggle. And I thought I was ready to serve at a pregnancy center, because I felt the Lord calling me to this ministry already. So I called like 3 pregnancy centers. Caring Hearts was the only one that returned my call. And it was the executive director of the position I'm in now. And she was so, the love of Christ just was apparent. But so before we ended our conversation, she was like, if you do have abortion in your past, we're going to ask that you take this class first to make sure you're in a good place to help other women. And had it not been for that, I was like, oh, sure, yeah, I'll do that. But so I had that encounter with Caring Hearts, that taking that class, it was called Save One. We still offer that same one, and went through that course, and I did not realize how much healing I needed. But then I started to serve shortly after, trained as a nurse to provide ultrasound soon after. So that's why it's passionate with me, because the healing that's available for women that are sitting in our churches silent, in that suffering, thinking that, because the enemy really, we know he is the author of lies, and if he can keep us from serving, he often, I heard things like, should you tell anyone in the church, you're going to be kicked out of this church, no one's going to understand, you're going to be cast out, all those type of things. And it was quite the opposite, and God gives us grace for other people. And Yes, and so knowing that women are sitting in silence in their church and more than likely not serving because they hear the enemy lying to them. So that is a big passion of mine, is that women in the church hear that there is healing and receive that healing. But then, of course, just preventing women, when possible, from choosing abortion. That is, again, a great passion of mine.
Yeah. What final words would you offer?
Yeah. Final words I would think would be that I think all Christians should educate themselves in the truth about, life. That don't listen to our culture that is trying to deceive even believers that abortion is okay. That to please educate themselves and even reach out. We have a lot of resources, and it's not going to be in judgment. If someone came to me saying, "Hey, I am really mixed with my feelings about if abortion is wrong or not for the believer," what kind of resources do you have? That, of course, we have a lot of scripture we can share with them, but we have other resources. They can become as educated as they want.
Contact information and locations, address?
Yeah, so they can reach out to me, Donna Ezell. My email is director@chpregnancy.org. It's a long, long line. Or they can call me. My number is 501-500-2106. Call me directly. And one of our taglines is basically help, no judgment, So that goes for our sisters and brothers in Christ too.
Yeah. Well, I'm thankful for the work that you all do. Thank you for continuously serving 40 plus years that they've been serving here in our community, Caring Hearts Pregnancy Center. So thanks again, Donna.
Yeah.
This has been Get Connected AR, and so we again want to get you connected to the resources that are here that are so much available for so many people. And so go check out Caring Hearts if you have need of those services, and they'll get you connected to other services just as well. Until next time, y'all be blessed.